Mr. Sorkin, hi.
Orlando, how are you? And please call me Aaron.
I'm doing good. Thank you. First of all, as a massive fan of the social network, it is an absolute honor to be talking to you today. So thank you.
Oh, what a thing to say. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So, on the 10th anniversary of the social network, what would it take for the same creative team to get together again and explore everything we have learned about Facebook and social media in general in the past decade?
Well, that's an interesting question. Um, it's something I've become interested in
Yeah.
the last year. Um, not so much as a sequel to the social network as here's another chapter in the social network story.
Yeah.
And I think if my original collaborators, most particularly David Fincher, directing, wanted to do it, then it would be something I'd think about seriously.
Yeah, because it's not necessarily the type of movie that would get a sequel, but there's plenty of material out there that could turn into a movie, right?
Well, there sure is. And, look, Facebook has suddenly played a huge role in our national and global conversation, in our national and global politics. And that role is is not always a positive one, right?
Yeah.
It's having a very negative effect in a number of areas. So that's worth writing about. And the first thing I would need to do is understand it. I have no social media accounts,
Oh,
so I would really need to start in nursery school, learning about. I'm I know more about Facebook in 2005 than I do in 2020. So I would have to. I'd have a lot of research to do.
yeah, fair enough. But the reason I get to talk to you today is your new movie, The Trial of the Chicago Seven,
Right.
in which you get to play with one of the biggest casts I think you've ever worked with. I would love if you took us through the process of casting this movie, especially Sasha, which is probably the most out of the box casting choice here.
Right. Um, First of all, let me agree with you. It's a fantastic cast, and it is a bigger cast than I've ever worked with
Yeah.
on stage and television movies. We didn't set out to make it an all-star cast to have a famous actor in every role. It just kind of happened that way. We had made it clear nobody's going to get rich from this movie. Everybody is getting paid minimum, union minimum. So you have to kind of raise your hand and step forward if you want to be a part of this. As far as Sasha, he is the one piece of casting. This all began 14 years ago in 2006. Steven Spielberg asked me to come to his house on a Saturday. He told me that he wanted me to write a movie about the Chicago Seven. And while I was writing, he started, looking around for before I was even finished for who should play, particularly Abby, and he landed on Sasha 14 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, Sasha made it clear to me when the movie was finally happening that it was his role. I was not to even consider anyone else. He would be playing Abby, and that was that.
But he is known for a couple of years now because I have seen some interviews of him from like 3 or 4 years ago where he talks about the case. And I just thought it was a coincidence, but he must have known then. He must have been in the conversation, right? From early
Yes,
on.
and in fact, even for Sasha going back to college, he studied Abby Hoffman in college, and he had always wanted to play Abby. And yes, I think that Sasha, along with myself, we sort of never gave up hope that the movie would be made. And as I said, he made it crystal clear to me that I would be considering no other actors for the role.
Even though this happened in the late 60s, the movie feels extremely current with all the protests still happening in the US and the division that has created, where you have people siding with the protesters and people siding with the police. Is that a conversation that you hope this movie keeps alive or maybe reignites?
Yes, it is. Now, listen, from the beginning, I never meant for the movie to be about 1968. I wanted it to be about today, even when today was 2007 or 2011 or 2015, etc. Um, when we were shooting it last winter, we thought the film was plenty relevant because Donald Trump at his rallies, a protester would shout something out and he'd stop the rally and say, the good old days when they carry that guy out of here on a stretcher. I'd love to beat the crap out of him. Somebody punch him right in the face. I'll pay the legal bills. He was being nostalgic about 1968.
Yeah.
So we thought the film was relevant when we were making it. But then all of a sudden, with the police killings of George Floyd, of Breonna Taylor, of Ahmaud Arbery, and protests in the streets, peaceful protests that were being met with a police reaction, tear gas, rubber bullets, nightsticks. I would watch the news at night and their coverage of a protest and think, if you just degraded the color on that a little bit, it would look exactly like the footage that we're using from 1968. A sharply divided country, a district attorney who is essentially being a politician for the president, essentially being his personal lawyer. And even, once again, people with darker skin than mine being told to go back where they came from, even though they came from here. The demonization of immigrants, the demonization of protest. And even the tension in the film between Abby and Tom is a reflection of the tension you see today on the left, between the left and the further left, between the people
Definitely.
Who want to work through the system, and want to take baby steps, and then the people who are tired of baby steps and want revolution.
I have to go. They're kicking me out. So
I'm sorry, but
again,
it was great
thank
talking
you.
to you.
Thank you so much. Likewise. Have a great day.
And you too, Orlando.